Let's go.
Oh.
And we're starting off the stream with the cough. We've got the flu. The flu is killing the stream right now, guys. We've got Drew, who's come down with the flu. We've got Jamie's come down with the flu as well. He's not going to be here, the Leicester City fan. We've got a new fan also joining us today from Newcastle, so hopefully he'll be joining us. He should be here. We've got Tony, our own registered 101 pundit. We've got Darren, our Man United fan. Neil, Liverpool. Neil, Liverpool's in the house. And
it's actually quite nice
Dave,
to talk about United.
We've got Dave, Chelsea's in the house as well. So welcome one and welcome all. How have you guys been, man? Darren, how are you getting on, bro? Man United looking good.
Not good, mate. You've got me for about 10-15 minutes.
So. Yeah, he's not well, so we're going to hopefully get him to cover off what he needs to. Neil, how are you getting on, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I wish my team was doing just as well, but it's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah,
still half the season to go, so we'll see what happens.
Excellent. And Dave, how are you getting on? Happy New Year to you as well, Dave.
Yeah, Happy New Year to all. Yeah, no, we're good.
Dave looks different.
See what happens.
It's all this, mate? What's all this, Dave? What's all this, mate?
Hey, you know when a man's in love, a man's in love.
Oh, it's a ball that.
Do you know what? I said I'd shave it when Chelsea win a game. So yeah. So yeah, this won't be coming off for a while.
Excellent, for real, man, for real. Yeah, everybody's asking for Matty. I'm waiting for him to come through. He should be here. Let me just bring up my Twitter message in case he's messaged me on Twitter, because I sent him the link. So far,
pace.
He's on his way. He's on his way. Matty's on his way, guys. Big Jamie. Big shout out to Aaron. We're going to talk a lot of Newcastle today. Here we are. Let's have a look. I've just been sent a message. Right. Okay. Right, hold on a second. Yeah, so how was everybody's Christmas?
It was good. It was good.
Nothing to complain about. Yeah, I wish it was still Christmas, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, that's just preemptive.
COVID-ridden, flu-ridden, and here we are.
Yeah, right. I'm just sending Matty some instructions.
But United are on the way back, so every cloud.
Yeah, it is. So guys, we talked about the World Cup, and we've had week 19 of the Premier League, which, to be quite honest, has really, really shown us a lot of stuff at the moment now. We're going to talk about all of the games. Let's get them up. Let's not waste any time. As I said, we've got Matty's coming in to join us from Newcastle, so hopefully that he'll be here to cover all of the Arsenal stuff. Now, let's bring up the results. Let's see if we can do that now. Here we are. What's going on with Man United at the moment, Darren, in the FA Cup?
It's 1-1. De Gea, I don't know if anyone's watching it, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm watching it.
Did you see the goal?
Yep. That was comedy of errors, man. Comedy of errors.
Wow. It looked like someone had won a competition to go in goal, didn't it?
Hey, listen, and De Gea says that he wants to finish the rest of his career.
I can see us signing him on for about 200 grand a year, just because it's the least of the problems and the where the money's probably not needed to be used. So he's done well this year. I mean, he's not the goalkeeper that Ten Hag wants, but he's done well enough, I think, for now.
Excellent. I just want to introduce everybody to Black and White Banter. Is a Newcastle fan, Matty, who I've been talking to on social media.
All right, gents, how are you?
Not
good,
too
mate.
Bad, and you?
Good, mate.
Yes, good. Thank you very much for having me on.
No problem, mate. We're here every Friday, normally at 10 o'clock, but sometimes we'll do a 9 o'clock because some of us have got kids and and it's a little bit disturbing. But yeah, so
bit of a late one to some.
Yeah, we've got Tony at the top there. He's an Arsenal fan. We've got Darren at the top to the right. He's a Man United fan. We've got Neil bottom right. A little bit. We've got Neil bottom right. He's Liverpool fan. We've got Dave, the good-looking guy with the haircut at the bottom, in the middle. He's a Chelsea fan, and obviously, so we've got you in as Newcastle.
Nice to meet you all, fellas.
No problem, man. We're missing a couple of guys today. Andy, who's a Spurs fan, and Drew, who's a Man City fan. They're missing today.
So you have a total mixed bag then.
We do, mate. We do. We love our football, mate. We love our football. You got some shout outs as well. Jamie Hutchinson and Aaron Hawkins, they're here, so they're saying a big shout out to you, Matty.
Happy day. Big shout out to them as well. It's me followers out there. It's all me followers out there.
Wow. Excellent. So, guys, let's get stuck into it. Let's talk about some football. Let's see what happened in this absolutely mag that we've had right now. Let's get some of the results up. The first result. Oh my God! Imagine, look at us starting with Brentford. That is absolutely insane. Let's get rid of this at the moment here.
Yeah, let's just skip past that one and talk about.
I think I would want to skip past that one as well.
To be honest, you can't take. I can't take anything away from Brentford. I mean, we were poor. Defensively, we were poor. Attacking, we were poor. Nunes missed so many chances. Salah missed chances.
He looked like Lukaku in the World Cup.
Oh my days! I think he was trying to match that. Yeah, we were just so poor. The bad things about it is that Virgil van Dijk, he's going to be out for a little while because he's been injured. But to be honest, this season he's been pretty poor this season anyway.
Why has Virgil van Dijk been so poor this season?
Why? It's just, do you know what? I can't put my finger on it. I mean, bottom line, when you look at it, it's not just him. They're all poor. They've all been poor. People say, oh, it's because they play too many games. For me, I never believed that anyway, because you know what? They don't work as hard as we do. We work every day. You know, their games are once a week, if that. You know, they get plenty of rest. Yes, we know they do training and all that sort of stuff as well, but they don't work as hard as us. And that's my view, and I'm sticking with it.
I think there's somebody. Darren's happy. Have you scored, Darren?
Yeah. Own goal.
It's an own goal.
Rashford, brilliant.
Matty, one thing I said to Neil about Liverpool is I think last year they absolutely gassed themselves out. They put in a season of their life and didn't win the title. And obviously, we know what happened in the Champions League. And I think that they gave every single drop what they had. And we're seeing a hangover from that, from what happened last season with Liverpool. And that's where I am. Also, you've seen players come in. You've seen Nunes come in. You've seen Gakpo come in. Where's the midfield?
Well, and that's part of the issue as well, is that our midfield has been wanting for a good few seasons now. You know, I mean, because our front three were always banging in goals and we got to the stage where our defense was almost watertight. We looked really, really good. And so everybody kind of didn't think about the midfield, but now it's starting to show. Yeah, we have Thiago who can control the game for us, but he's just one player. You know, Fabinho, he's our defensive midfielder. I'm not even going to mention Henderson because I think he's a pilot anyway. We're just not good enough. That's where we need players. When Gakpo I can't even say his name. When he came in,
Gakpo.
When he came in, I just thought, wait, what's going on here? Are we looking to try and field 10 forwards on the pitch at one time? Because that's what it looks like. We keep buying forwards and no one else.
I think Liverpool's midfield looks like it's maybe lacking in legs a little bit.
It's been lacking for a couple of seasons, mate.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for our front three, which included Mane at the time, you know, because they were banging in goals and playing so well, nobody really watched the midfield or concentrated on them. Apart from me, I've always been banging on that our midfield are not good enough. We need, for us to keep up with City season in, season out, we need to improve there, and we haven't done that yet. But we're at a transfer window now. We have to see what happens by the end of the transfer window if we get somebody in. Oh, we did get that guy. What's his name? Arta, whoever he was, who managed to play about 30 or 40 minutes. You know, and now he's injured. Well, he got injured a while ago. Wonderful. That was great use of transfer money, loan transfer money, I should say. Great use of it.
What I'd say though is let's give credit to Brentford, who I saw the other day. I think they've only dropped point. Well, I think they've only lost against one of the traditional top 6 teams, which is Arsenal.
Yeah.
Like everyone else, they've either beaten or drawn.
I'm not taking anything away from Brentford at all.
I think with them, they've been good. I think with Liverpool, like the dynamic of how you've played historically has changed. Like I'm so used to Liverpool's midfielders going, get the ball out to Salah, get the ball out to Mane, and just basically almost like our job is to win the ball and just play it forward. Let the best attacking players play. Now it looks like teams are holding back a little bit more and just catching you on the counter, and your midfield
when they
just
bought
doesn't have the
Thiago,
creativity.
Plan, and it don't work.
Nah, I don't think he works for that team.
Yeah, I mean, I said, look, the only way they're going to fix their problem is with Declan Rice, or if they go out and get Bellingham. But I think it would be Declan Rice, really. He can fix whatever's going on there.
The Bellingham, the rumor is that we might be stumping up some money and trying to compete from in the summer, but I can't see
you're going to compete against Newcastle. They're the richest club in the world in the Premier League, mate.
Yep.
I don't think we're quite there yet to be going for the Bellinghams, but you know, we've been surprised a few times already in the last couple of transfer windows. So who knows?
No, but you guys, I think you guys are doing it right. You've got all this money. You haven't gone silly like a couple of other teams I could mention in the past where they had a load of money and went and just bought players. They outpriced the players in the market as well, which made it so hard for other teams to compete as well for those same players. There are certain teams. There's a certain team that paid, was it 100 million for a certain, what is his name, from Aston Villa?
Grealish.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, seriously,
Drew's not here to defend himself.
I know he's never been worth that money. Never ever been worth that money. For me, he wasn't even a 15 million pound player at the time. He was coming towards that, but to pay that much for him, and he's going to take him years to pay them back that money. The way he's playing,
insults are worth the weight in gold because every time he insults a player, they end up turning into a potential Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, exactly.
So, guys, listen. Let's move on to Arsenal versus Newcastle, and obviously, I want to get Matty's opinion of what's been going on, and I'll let the rest of you chime in. But you know, you've got to look at Newcastle, and it was Bertram about a month ago. Bertram kept saying to everybody on this stream, "You got to watch out for Newcastle." And everybody was ignoring him, and they've just been creeping up and up and up in the table. They've managed in 18 games to keep 10 clean sheets. They've got the best defense in the league with just 11 goals. Arsenal is second best with 14. But you've got to look at their team and think to yourself that they are a serious proposition now for a Champions League spot. In fact, I think that they're going to probably finish fourth. I've gone Arsenal, City, United, and then Newcastle. So that's how I think it's going to finish. Matty, did you enjoy the game?
Yeah, you know, in terms of what I've been used to and how we've been playing, I guess no. Obviously, I went down to the match, so I was there for it.
It's a shame we didn't meet up.
Yeah, definitely in future. You know, we wanted to play the way that we've become used to. High press, lots of the ball, lots of attacking intent, and we've been so used, particularly at St James's Park, to absolutely pummeling teams. Even Leeds on Saturday, when we just couldn't break them down when they kind of parked the bus, it was just attack after attack after attack. And we started that way, and I think what was amazing about Eddie Howe on Tuesday for me was he noticed after like 8 minutes, I think Arsenal had 85% possession, and it was just attack after attack. And I'm stood in the stands, as we all were, thinking, shit, this is going to be an absolute battering. And it didn't start maybe how we would have liked when we tried to match you guys for the same sort of intensity and attack play. We had to revert back to a tactic that we haven't really seen much of. Yeah. I think the last time I watched us play a little bit more, you could argue, sitting in it, maybe dropping a couple of yards was probably Liverpool in the second half when we got beaten in the 97th minute. So I hadn't seen that. But in terms of a point, going into that game, I said on my match preview, I said I'm never worried about this Newcastle team defensively anymore. I'm not. It's more, it's even going somewhere like Arsenal, which is a crazy statement, I know, but based on what I've seen so far, And I thought our defence would kind of say, right, come on, Arsenal, let's see what you've got. And I'll be totally honest with you, I was quite surprised. Yes, we've been very good defensive, but I think you guys really struggled to break down what has turned into a wall of a back five for us.
And you know what? You know what made it worse, Matty, is that it exposed our fragile squad depth because of what's happened to Smith Rowe, what's happened to Nelson, what's happened to Jesus. We had nothing. We had nobody to bring on. We could have brought on Vieira, but everybody keeps saying he's lightweight. I don't buy that excuse. But we just didn't have any depth. The squad depth was poor, and we couldn't change it. We just could not change it, and that's a problem for us right now.
The question, Apollo, you have to ask yourself is Fabio Vieira better than what you had on the pitch at the time? I know he offers you something slightly better, slightly different, but was it different as in better or just different? And that I think is what Arteta's struggle is. When you look at certain players at other teams, they give you a slightly different option, but they're a better option if you change the way you're going to attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, you've got to think to yourself, let's see what some of the guys are saying. Cam is saying, and this team is so damn young, if we can keep the squad together for 2 or 3 more years, it would be crazy. G saying, we stretch every shoe tonight to win, and we couldn't. A lot of tired legs, bad refereeing, nothing clicking in the final third. I'll chalk this game off and be happy that nobody was injured. Jamie says, you'll never beat down Byrne. I thought Byrne played really well. Aaron says he's from Blythe. And then Jamie says, we bought on Murphy and Chris Wood. Our squad depth is far worse. Well, I wouldn't say that, because remember, you got Isak. He had quite a lot of players injured in that game. So I think toe to toe is probably about the same. I think it'd probably be about the same. But
to be honest, now that you pointed it out, with regards to Arsenal's injuries, I hadn't, it probably through me being more invested in my own team going into that match. I hadn't really, obviously, I knew Jesus wasn't playing, because obviously that's quite a high profile injury more recently. But I guess you guys do have your injuries as well, and we've had a few, but not. Obviously, Isak was a big one, because we almost feel like he's going to be a new signing coming back. Because we've only really watched him play in like 2 games, and he's looked very good in them 2 games. But even the likes of St. Maximin at the start of the season, if you told me he would be sort of a substitute and not really seeing much game time over the likes of your Murphys, even in more recent matches, I would have been very surprised. But that's just what Eddie Howe keeps sticking with, and it's worked wonders.
So what is he doing with St. Maximin? Because we've got a member on the panel who loves St. Maximin, Bertram. Right. He absolutely loves him with a passion. Well, why isn't he starting in a game like that? Is it for defensive reasons? Because we know he loves going forward, going past players. But I think when you don't start a player like that in a game like this, that speaks of Laka's defensive capability.
Yeah, to be honest, but like I say, going back to the first 10 minutes of the match, I think Eddie Howe did have an intention to attack. That changed within 10 minutes of how the game started. But for me, St. Maximin, I would love to say he splits opinion with the Newcastle fan base, but I still think he has more people on board. I mean, there was a poll done on Twitter before the match of whether Newcastle fans would start him on a large scale on Twitter. And it was 83% yes to 17% no. So he still very much has the fan base on board. But for me, yes, he can do incredible things that no one else can. I think there's very few players in the Premier League who can do what St. Maximin can when he's dribbling a football. But does he do enough of that? And I think Eddie Howe is developing a style of play which is very much around keeping the ball, very much about a certain type of possession with that intensity and that high press. And I personally don't think Eddie Howe's convinced by him. I don't.
I mean, it's brilliant because, like I said, man, Newcastle are in the big boys league right now, man. You're in the upper echelon of the league and you're not going anywhere. Yeah, you're not going anywhere. And this isn't even without them spending a ton of money. So can you imagine when they start spending money, how good are they going to be?
I hope so. I really hope. I mean, it looks like the future's bright. I mean, for me, I'm just every day as a Newcastle fan at the moment is just like a roller coaster ride. As cliche as that sounds, and lots of people keep asking me what my expectations are for the season. Yes, European football would be good, and yes, if we didn't get it the way this season's gone, where we are now, it would be a little bit disappointing. But I'm just enjoying waking up on a match day for the first time in about 15 years, excited to go to the game.
Wow.
Genuinely, that's where I am at the moment. I'm enjoying every moment of this new process that we find ourselves in.
Brilliant. So, guys, I'm going to jump to the Man United game because Darren's not well. So I want to give him the ability to come out if he needs to. So let's talk about that. Man United 3, Bournemouth 0. What's impressing me with this team, Darren, is your defense. Because they've been in all sorts. People talking about Maguire's crap, Varane ain't pulling his weight. And Ten Hag's not having any of it. I mean, Luke Shaw is looking so good right now. I know a lot of people are talking about Wan-Bissaka. What's going on in Man United? And what is this reprisal? Is it the Ronaldo factor? Is that he's not here anymore? What's going on with why this team is so good?
Like I said to you all months ago, Man United will never ever do anything with the midfield players that we had at the time. Even Ten Hag, and that was proof in the pudding in the first 2-3 games. He had the same midfield as everyone else has had, and he failed. He failed miserably. I mean, we all watched it. What was it, 3-0 and 4-0, something stupid like that, wasn't it? And now we've actually got midfielders that get into difficult spots, take the ball, win the ball back, work hard for the team, and they're technically gifted, which has just transformed the side. I mean, that amongst the way he's handled the Garnacho, Ronaldo, Rashford, just the style of play. Like the other night, he brought in the same back four that Ollie had. No worries, because you've got Casemiro in front of you that's just a beast. Like, what a player, what a signing. So yeah, there's so many things to talk about in terms of what he's done right, but I think that midfield has just been the major thing for me. I said it, that we will not do anything. No manager will do anything with Scott McTominay, Fred. Who else was there? Who else has there been? Herrera. No one will win stuff or beat teams with a midfield of that caliber.
You don't rate McTominay then, because he's actually been linked to us this week.
Don't get me wrong. Like, Scott McTominay is one of those players that, never let you down. He's a good squad player. When you come up against maybe teams like Everton or like other teams that you should sort of beat, he will put in a very good performance. And sometimes he's been our best player, but he's not at the caliber where, if you're going to be where Man United want to be, where Newcastle want to be, where City want to be, you're not going to win leagues with Scott McTominay. But you might win a league if he's your player to come in for a game or so whilst, your Casemiro needs a break. Or that's just Scott McTominay. He's your Nicky Butt, he's your John O'Shea. And I said this, that Fred and Scott McTominay are your Nicky Butts, your John O'Shea's, your squad players. They're not your title winning team. And it's clear to see Eriksen and Casemiro are just unbelievable footballers.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, we've got so much going on there. This is obviously Tony's putting something up with Ten Hag and Sancho.
Yeah.
Sancho to me is just like, I look at him like Pepe from Arsenal. It's just like, is he getting it done? What's going on with Sancho? And somebody's talked about what
I believe
the team look really good.
I believe he'll come good. I think he's young. He's come to a league where, it's very different to the German league. It's very similar to Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan came with something like 45 goal involvements and then turned out to be dreadful. It's just a different league. Not everyone's a Haaland. And I think he'll come good. I think Ten Hag's got something about him, and he'll get him playing in the system eventually. The problem he's got is he plays in a position where Rashford and Garnacho have come in and they're absolutely tearing it apart. So, but I think he'll come good eventually.
What are your expectations? I'm just curious. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I was just curious with yourself being a Man United fan. I'm always wondering what your expectations are now with obviously the managerial changes, everything like that. What would be a good season for a Man United fan these days?
So my expectations were because of the dross I've watched for 10 years, and I don't care if Mourinho won leagues, he won them so lucky. He dragged a team kicking and screaming defensively to 2 cups, and it was awful. So I just want to turn on the TV and watch my team like I am now, do patterns of play, being able to pass it out from the back, have chances, have a go. And if we win, great. If we don't, at least you've had a go. That was my initial expectation. However, seeing how things are going, I'm starting to believe that maybe I'd be disappointed if we keep the same set of players going without injuries. I think we can finish top 3 now, which I'd have snapped your hands off for a lucky 4th. But top 3, hopefully.
Right.
Excellent, guys. So let's now move on to this. Everyone's in the chat, man. Hold on. Aaron looks like he's off to he's off to sleep. So night, Aaron. Early night for you. Cam says sleep well. 18 says sleep well. When needed, going against poor sides, he's saying. 18 saying feels refreshing to have Newcastle fans in here. It does. I mean, for a team that's doing so well, why aren't they on a Premier League show? We're all talking all the teams here, so we need to have them in there. We need to have them sort of strutting their stuff, and then when they're doing well, let them big up their chests. I like that, man.
It hasn't happened very often for the last 20 years, I tell you.
It is. Jamie saying Matty has lovely teeth. Oh, we're all hearing it now, Matty. Guys, we've got Everton.
You may have to mute Jamie and Aaron's comments soon. I think that might have to happen.
Guys, we've got Everton 1, Brighton 4. Brighton, after the drop in they got against Arsenal, we know what they've done to many of the other sides. How are Brighton this good without Graham Potter? I mean, they are, and this isn't even at home. This is away from home, but for me, this could be the last we see of Frank Lampard. I think he's got 1 or 2 games left. And if that doesn't change, then he's done. Everybody, you can chime in here if you want on this one.
When it comes to Lampard,
so go on, Neil.
Darren, have a good one.
So for me, Darren, have a good one, bro.
I think that game and tonight's game as well, if United do win it, will be the final nail in Frank Lampard's coffin. As much as I kind of like the guy, I just didn't think he was ready for the Premier League. And when he was at Chelsea, you saw what happened there. It didn't last too long. They got rid of him really quickly and brought a much better, more experienced manager in. And then he was quiet for a while until Everton took him on. Obviously, with the problems that they didn't like the fact that Rafa was there, or the fans didn't like that anyway. But for me, as I said, I mean, I don't think Lampard's good enough. I was glad when he went to Everton because I thought, Everton are going to start going down, obviously being a Liverpool fan. But yeah, no, he's not good enough. I never thought he was good enough.
I think the criticism of Lampard's a bit harsh, especially what he'd done with us in the transfer ban, where he couldn't sign his own players. And then I think it was overwhelmed. I think the job overwhelmed him with us personally, because that's when it was like, right, transfer bans up, and we just went to bat and got every player under the sun almost. And I think it just got a little bit overwhelming for him. The Everton job, I mean, I want to see what they've invested recently. Like, who did they even? Neil Maupay they brought in. They brought in Idrissa Gueye back. Not the player he probably was. They haven't got the best squad there. I don't think, and I wouldn't necessarily put it on Lampard. Bearing in mind he kept them up when they looked like they were gonna go down last year. Let's be frank. Let's be honest with that. Like they looked bad last year, and he kept them up. Not saying
they're looking just as bad now. They're looking
only
just.
Yeah, I think the issue runs a lot further than the manager with Everton. I think it runs
100%.
It does, but he's not good.
I think the Everton fans have accepted that as well.
Yeah, but he's not the manager to get them back to where they believe they should be. He's definitely not.
Well, who is?
He's not
like, there's no one.
I think it's a difficult one. Who is in that situation with that ownership there at the moment?
Sam Allardyce.
I was going to say Big Sam. Big Sam.
All the manager names back. Mark Hughes, Sam Allardyce, Tony Pulis.
Yeah, just reel off the typical names of.
They might be tempted to bring a Hodgson out of retirement, maybe.
I mean, the thing is, guys, they got Tarkowski from Burnley, they got Gaya from PSG, they got Garner from Man United, 10 million, they got Morpay from Brighton, 12 million, they got McNeil from Burnley for 7 million.
Not good
as well.
They bought Onana from PSG. Was it Lille? 35 million. That was their big buy, and then they sold. Richarlison to Spurs for 60 million. So they spent 80 million and recouped 60 million of that. So it was a negative 20 million.
20.
Yeah. So they spent money. They spent money.
20 million net. Come on. That's not.
Yeah,
that's
but they spent 80 million, didn't they? So it's not like.
Yeah, but you've just lost Richarlison, who for them was massive.
Yeah.
Like he was their go-to. Like,
was he, Dave? Because let's be honest, Richarlison never scored more than 12 goals in a season. That's not massive. Yeah, he wasn't like a super assister. He wasn't like end of the season you went 12 goals, 10 assists, that kind of statistic. No, he was a good player. I'm not denying he's a good player, but for Everton, no one ever got the best out of him. And let's be honest, he's not tearing up any statistic at the end of the season that anyone's going, oh, look at this statistic that he's the best in the league at this particular part of his game.
Plus, you've also got to look at other players like Calvert-Lewin.
Thank you.
They had a lot. There was a lot of shouting about him, how he's going to rescue them. He's going to do this, this, and this. Yes, he did get injured, but he's just not the player that's going to save that team either. They need better. They need better quality players, in my view. Much better.
But then you're not gonna get better if you're selling your better players.
No, you're not going to get better. But if you've got a manager who has a lot more credibility, you're going to be attracting better quality players. And Lampard is not doing that for Everton at this moment.
But I don't think it's about credibility. Like I don't look at it and go, oh, Lampard ain't got the credibility as a manager. Like
lots of that.
You've just reeled off names like Allardyce and Pulis.
I just think
there are managers out there that lots of players would love to play for, and if they were at Everton, you never know, they might have brought some of those players in. Lampard's not one of them where people are going to go, oh, I want to go and play for him.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Hold on, guys. Let's hear what Matty's got to say. Matty?
No, sorry. I was just going to say, I know you were talking about Richarlison and that sale. I think, for me, that goes back to the ownership of the club, because if you're going to sell what is... I know you were talking about he's not as great as maybe it's made out to be. He's still a massive vocal point for Everton. I think if you're going to sell that asset, to not have a plan who's going to come in and bring in the likes of Morpay as a replacement and just have that money sitting there, that to me is bad ownership of the football club. Whether that's,
I agree.
I think everyone below Lampard should not have allowed that sale to happen unless there was a meeting of like, right, who is this guy getting replaced with? Because he's one of our.
Well, hang on a second there, Matty, because if I look at the statistics, which I've just quickly done. Last year, Richarlison scored 10 goals.
Oh no, sorry, I'm not saying I think he's great.
Morpay scored more goals.
I don't think he's anything special at all. But I still think if you were to ask an Everton fan in terms of their team at the time just staying up, and I know Richarlison had some goals that were quite crucial in that, he was still a massive part of what they did with regards to their forward line.
I agree with Matty. He might not have scored 15 plus goals, but the goals he scored stopped Everton from the drop. Right now, they've got nobody scoring 10, 11, 12 goals, Tony. Nobody.
But the point
and right now, that when you there's a saying in the
they bought a player who scored
there's a saying
more
in the Premier League that if you average
in the Premier League,
there's a saying in the Premier League that if you average less than a goal a game, then you're going to get relegated.
I think there's a lot more to it than just chucking that stat of he scored more than him, so he's a much better player in the Premier League. I think there's way more to it than that.
Yeah, like you look, you're not gonna. You've got Calvert-Lewin already. Like if the guy can stay fit, obviously. At least with Richarlison, if you do have Calvert-Lewin up front, you can put him left wing or you can put him on the wing somewhere. Maupay is a striker. He's not going to be able to play anywhere else on the pitch. So that does also affect. You get a better quality player in Richarlison. Yeah. There's a reason he's just gone for X amount of money to Tottenham.
He scored 2 of the best goals of the World Cup, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I don't definitely see Maupay. Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys, let's move on to Leicester losing to Fulham. I wasn't surprised there, guys. I mean, Fulham's calmed down a little bit now, but if you don't watch it, they're still going to catch you. I mean, right now, Fulham are in 7th place. So they're above Brighton, they're above Brentford, and they're above Chelsea. So people are sleeping on Fulham still. They're within a shout of getting into Europe. Imagine that. We're talking about Chelsea, Brentford, and Brighton, how well some of those teams are doing. And Fulham are just behind Liverpool. They're on the same points as Liverpool Football Club. So, listen, it's a well-deserved win. But for me, they're playing good defense. They're coming up with the goals. Mitrovic has cooled off a little bit. So there's only just a matter of time before he starts heating up. But I think Fulham's done really well. Tony, Fulham?
Yeah, I mean, they it's an echo somewhere. They're doing really well, and I think it's somewhat surprising, but I'm quite glad to see them doing well. I have a soft spot for Fulham for some reason. They're my preferred team from West London. And it is a nice away day. It's a nice away day, going to Fulham's ground on the river.
It's mostly silent there as well, to be fair.
It is a very nice trip to Fulham.
It is. So I've got a soft spot for Fulham, and I'm pleased to see that they're doing well.
Neil, what about you, mate?
Yeah, same here. I mean, to be honest, I've been watching Fulham quite a bit since they've come back in, because I always thought that they were one of the teams that were going to go straight back down because they're known for that. I can't see that happening this season. They've done well enough, and they'll do well enough to beat the drop this season. But then again, when you look at the other side, when you look at Leicester are very up and down. They might actually be a team.
Put around and get together, weren't they? They were just starting to get some results.
Yeah, but that's the thing though with Leicester, isn't it? We're used to Leicester putting a good string of runs together, of wins together, and doing well enough to stay in the top half. But this season they've struggled. Yeah, this could be the season where they're actually in that relegation battle towards the end of the season, and they could even be one of the teams that do go down if things don't change.
I think Brendan Rodgers is definitely walking from Leicester pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, he was trying to do that before, wasn't he?
Yeah,
when he was talking and stuff like that, and they still didn't get rid of him. So what's the manager to do to get sacked nowadays, huh?
Well, they're going to see the Magpies soon. What's your opinion on that one, Dave?
What, in terms of Fulham and Leicester?
Fulham, Leicester. Yeah.
I mean, Fulham have stuck by their guns with Mitrovic, and he obviously is repaying them quite dearly. They brought in some. Paulinho's a good signing for them. Very, very good player, and it just looks like they've bought in the places that they've needed to. They haven't gone mad. They've tried to do it a few times, didn't they, Fulham, when they come up and they spent over 100 mil, didn't they, on a kind of new team, then went back down. It sounds like it looks like they've got a little bit more experience this time from kind of yo-yoing up and down, and it looks like they've got it right this time. And they're playing well. They look tenacious. Andreas Pereira looks like a player again. I know at United he weren't looking good, but he looks good as well.
They're looking good defensively as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Pep quoted and said, "If is it Tim Ream, isn't it? That one of their players." He said, "Oh, if he was younger, I'd have him." But I think he's like 35, 36. I want to say so. He's a lot older, but yeah, no, they're looking good, looking very good so far. And Leicester, I mean, I think Leicester are just going to go in ebbs and flows now. I think they're going to have good patches and then low points, but But yeah, I think they're transitioning quite a bit. Leicester into that.
And what's your thoughts, Matty, on Fulham's display? You've got Leicester next week, Matty. They're coming over to your
we
gardens,
do. Yes, a cup quarter final, which is very exciting in front of a packed house. I've been pleasantly surprised by Fulham, to be honest. I think they've kind of gone about the business. I think they've invested quite well. I don't think they've been. I think maybe Fulham teams of the past have gone for that numbers game when they've been promoted, in terms of kind of what Nottingham Forest have done this year. Get as many bodies through the door of like well-known names as possible. I think they've invested a lot better this time round. I think Mitrovic, obviously we know him very well. He's always going to score goals. He's always going to be a bit of a menace in the box. And there's a lot of Newcastle fans still think we shouldn't have sold him, but I think it's a very different Mitrovic now to the young, raw one that we had at Newcastle. Very, very different. I think he's matured. But I think
he's about 2 stone lighter, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't get sent off one every 3 games.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It might be all them pucker pies down in Newcastle on time.
Not just pucker pies. It's beer. It's ham and peas, pudding, sarnies, Savoy dips. You name it.
Yeah, he's down there in Fulham Broadway having salads every weekend. That's what.
It's all posh scran over that neck, though, isn't it?
So, guys, next result: Nottingham Forest are 2 points above the drop zone. I needed to clear up the Forest issue because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, they went out and bought 21 players," but that's because they had 12 players on loan when they were championships. I think I addressed this with you guys before, but the reason they had to go out and buy an entire new squad was because they did. By the time, I think they had 17 players. When the 12 players went back on loan, they were left with 5 players going into the Premier League. 5 players. So you're going into the Premier League. You're about to be given 94.1 million. To be with the big boys, and you got 5 players on your books. So that's why they had to go out and in a rush and buy them 21 players. But to me, guys, it actually looks like they're starting to settle down a little bit now, because let's be honest, you bring in 4 or 5 players into your team, takes a little bit of time to integrate them. But you bring in 21, well, that's a whole new team.
Well, they're in 15th position at the moment. There's no guarantee that they are going to stay up, because they still need those players. Those players all need more experience with one another. But they look as if they've slowly turned the corner, and they're starting to play better now and come better. But there's still half the season to go, so we'll have to see whether they escape the drop or go straight down.
Yeah, because the only problem they have is they're not scoring goals.
Yeah, but they're neither of Southampton, right? And Southampton Southampton are the strongest team, obviously, in the league right now, because they're holding everybody up.
Tony. Tony, yes. Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, I mean, see, this is another club I've got a bit of a love for.
We all
remember back
Brian
in the day,
Clough.
I used to spend a lot of time with Chris Bart-Williams, who was the team captain. In fact, funnily enough, both myself and Andy played in a team where we wore Nottingham Forest kit donated by Chris Bart-Williams.
Nice.
So I used to play football on a Sunday in official Nottingham Forest kit. So I'm very, very up on Forest. I they're a classic team, aren't they, from history days in English football. And it's, I wish them the best, but they're in a scrap. They're in a deep scrap. I don't know how it's going to come out, because I don't know if they can blend all those players sufficiently by the end of the season. But having said that, the teams beneath them look worse.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if they start scoring goals for us, then they could be working their way through the drop zone. Dave, you think that they're going to get relegated, or you think they're going to do enough to stay in?
I think it's how quickly those guys can get to playing with each other. Now, let's not be deluded over their last 2 games. You've had a toothless Chelsea team that they got a point from, and then they've obviously beaten an awful Southampton team, like awful. But it's all good me saying that, but you have to go and do the job on them. So they have the players, and it's not like they've bought in not great. You know, it's not like they've just gone out and splashed out on not good players. They've got Lodi, who's on loan from Atletico Madrid. Obviously, Gibbs White looks like a good player as well. I think the fear is, are they going to score enough? That's the simple question. They're the second worst in the league in putting the ball in the back of the net. So it's and the only worst team to them is Wolves, actually. So I think if you
and Wolves are actually going to be getting their guys like Jimenez, Neto. They're going to be getting them back.
Yeah. So quite quickly, they're probably going to be the worst team in the league for scoring goals. So it's just how quickly they can. You know, they can turn and actually go, right, can we start, can we just start scoring goals? Because if they do, I mean, when they played against us, they looked really good and they looked very direct. I don't know how many times they're going to be content with letting other teams have the ball, but if they can play that counter-attacking style, and I think that's what you need to do, just be stable at the back and nick these 1-0 wins and just really grind games out. I think that's going to be the key to them staying up, because they're not going to be shifting 2, 3, 4 goals against other teams. So it's just going to have to be scrappy 1-0s.
So, Matty, is Steve Cooper looking to bring any signings in this month? Because if he doesn't get a striker,
I watched him laugh when he was asked in his last press conference whether he was going to sign any players. He put his head in his hands because he's sick of getting asked. But I was kind of watching that thinking, as a club who signed like 255 players in one window, are you really surprised that you've been asked whether you're going to be making any additions in January? I think they'll sign players. I still don't think they're that confident in the squad that they have with regards to how things have gone since they signed all them. Obviously, January is a very difficult window, so I think that quality of player becomes even more difficult to get. And I think if there's one position in January that is the worst to get hold of, it's strikers, because what team wants to let a good goal scorer leave their team mid-season?
So the funny thing is, Matt, that they spent 160 million and they only recuperated 7 million. Go on, Tony.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, I just wanted to raise a point, because I've been looking at this all day today, right? Nottingham Forest sold Diged Spence to Spurs. Now, I've got an affiliation with Diged Spence because I grew up and I knew his mum really well.
How many people do you know?
I know, it's weird, but
A lot.
Anybody who knows me knows I know a lot of people. But quite simply, the kid has been at Spurs. He's played 15 minutes of football.
Yeah, it baffles me.
And they're now looking at a right back. Another right back apparently is their number one focus for Spurs this January transfer window. A player from Portugal, Paco. And I'm like, hang on a second, but what the hell are you doing with Diged Spence, who was a phenom at Nottingham Forest?
You would assume something's gone on behind closed doors, wouldn't you? Obviously, we know.
It's always the case, though, isn't it?
Conte is quite a character.
Yeah, we've got Aaron saying, ask Matty if he's had a bottle of Jaeger for tomorrow's game.
Yes, for the Sheffield Wednesday Cup game, there probably will be a bottle of Jaeger for the bus, yes.
Excellent, guys. And then we move on to Leeds West Ham 2-2, which is what
it's been lovely to meet you all. I'm going to have to dash. Obviously, if I know a little bit further in advance moving forward, I'd love to jump on with you in future. It's just I've been working all night and I haven't had any food yet, and I'm absolutely
no problem,
starving.
mate. Listen, thank you for joining us, mate.
Nice meeting you.
We normally do 10 o'clock, but we pushed it forward just an extra hour today because
I would love to jump on with you in future. It's been lovely chatting to you. Obviously, I love talking about football, and hopefully I'll be on again in future.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Then you're always welcome, Matty.
Nice one, Matty.
Cheers, mate. For me, guys, the most entertaining game of the weekend was Leeds West Ham. What a game it was! You didn't know who was going to win. The lead swapped around all over the place. And Scamacca, who hasn't started a lot in the league, all he does is score goals for West Ham. I mean, you think David Moyes has finally got the message now that you have to play him.
Has he though? Has he though?
I think he has, because if you don't, they're going to get relegated. It's as simple as that. He's such a quality player.
They're what? They're one position. Well, they're just above Everton, aren't they? They're only a point ahead of Everton. Is it a point they're ahead of Everton?
Yes, they are a point.
14 points, isn't it?
No, they're tied. They're tied with Everton on 15.
Yeah.
So Neil, did you see the game, Neil? It was very entertaining, end-to-end stuff.
Do you know what, right? I if I didn't know the Premier League, I've just come from a country not knowing what the Premier League like. I would have thought those would be in the top two teams in the league, the way they were playing. The way they were playing such strong football. And then you kind of think, hold on, if these guys can play like this as well as this, why can't they do that week in, week out? Because they're both towards the bottom of the end of the table, you know. Yeah. So I'm hoping that. Well, I'm very surprised with West Ham, because you go back 2 seasons, West Ham were contending for European football, for one of those positions, and now they're like struggling to stay above relegation. They're on the same points as Everton. Lack of goals, right?
They've scored one more goal than Everton, and they've scored the same amount of goals as Southampton, and just 2 more than Nottingham Forest. Where they've scored 15 goals. When you look at Leeds, they've scored 25.
Yeah. I mean, could this be the season that they get relegated? There are so many teams that look like they can get relegated right now.
Yeah, definitely not, because Leeds are scoring so many goals. They've got goals in them from everywhere. So
I think Leeds will escape the drop. But I was talking about West Ham. West Ham. I don't know. Yeah. Apart from that game, I mean, West Ham have looked poor game in, game out. Majority of games they've played. But that game, end-to-end stuff, it was brilliant. It was a brilliant game. I only wish that we played that well against Brentford, you know.
Oh, tell me about it. David, what's your thoughts on that? It was a quality game, Dave.
Yeah, good game. I think this is the thing. When you look at the table and you see teams around you, you understand the importance of it. It is it is a 6-pointer. At the end of the day, you think, okay, can we get close to the teams above us, or if we're below them, can we bridge that gap? You know, typical 6-pointer game, and everybody wants to play out of their skin for it. I think with West Ham, I think it's a downfall of a couple of players. I know obviously they brought Scamacca in, fantastic. But Antonio was doing stuff for them. Was doing really positive stuff for him, and obviously he's not a natural striker, but he was putting the ball in the back of the net. And then the big one is Bowen. I mean, what he has called off so much. I mean, before the World Cup or before the Euros, I think Euros last year, I think everyone was talking about, is he going to be in the squad? And he has called off dramatically, and he's not put. And I think he was looking like one of their best players from last year, and he's just.
He definitely was one of their best players last year. I didn't think that he'd be at West Ham this season, because he played that well. I thought one of the big boys might come in and have him as part of their squad.
Definitely had a look. Definitely had a look.
And I thought he was going to leave West Ham, but it didn't happen, obviously.
Yeah, I mean he's called off, and I think this is, and those two have been very influential. Obviously, with also Rice and Souček playing well as well. But I mean, those two specifically have been good, and it just looks like as their form has dipped, you know, and you're now relying on new signings, i.e. Scamacca to come in and try and do bits. Paqueta as well to try and come in and start dictating games, which is why they bought him. You know, it's a bit of a scary sight for them. I think they'll get it together. I think they've got too much quality to be dragged into a relegation back towards the latter end of the season. So at some point, I think they'll get a good run of games and put some points on the board. But you know what you're going to get from Leeds. It's all up and down, up and down, up and down. They're never going to stop running. They're always going to, you know, the effort's always going to be there with them. So they're never an easy game.
And so, guys, we've got Crystal Palace, Neil, Tottenham 4. So it looks like Tottenham's back. I could say that. And then next week, they might go and stink it up again. Tony, did you have anything to say about the Leeds and the West Ham game when you went away?
No, I'm good with that.
Excellent. So Spurs, it's a shame Andy's not here because I've never seen him so happy since before the World Cup.
That was a game of two halves. In the first half, they were so poor. Yeah, I actually thought that Palace, the way they played, at the end of the first half, I thought, Palace are probably going to nick this one because if Spurs come out like that in the second half, there's no way they're winning it. No way they're winning the game. But King Kane scores 2 again, doesn't he?
He played really well.
Yeah. And it got them the points. I mean, obviously the start of the 4-0 thrashing, but yeah, it took them a half to kind of get that all together.
Cam says might refuse to make any more predictions for Crystal Palace because they're so inconsistent. This is, Arsenal fans wanted Patrick Vieira to manage Arsenal, and when you look at the trajectory of the two teams, where Arteta's taken Arsenal and where Vieira has taken, to be honest with you, Palace are pretty much where they were when he took them over. They're in 12th place. What's your thoughts on the game? Is Dave, has it made you be really concerned about Spurs? Because Spurs looked like they were in a tailspin, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'd like to say I'm not concerned because I think Tottenham are very inconsistent themselves. But I mean, it's only. I mean, let's not forget the other day that Conte's coming out and going, I don't know what's best for Spurs. It could be 4th, 5th. I don't know what their expectations are. 4th might be the best that they're going to get.
Yeah, but Conte is Conte, right? He does that at every team he goes to. Whether they do well or not, he always has a moan and he always acts because he doesn't stay anywhere too long.
Exactly, no, and right now he's getting cold feet, isn't he?
Exactly. That's what I think. I think he's just covering all angles, which is what he does with every team he goes to.
Yeah, but I think you have to look at it from a perspective of, I think I mean, we don't know if he wants to be there or not. I think if I had my manager say that, I'd be a bit like, you know what?
The way he talks in the press, though, he doesn't pull no punches. He just says it straight. And I think some of the things that he says, maybe he should not be saying it to the press. If he wants to say it to the owners of the club behind closed doors. But some of the comments he comes out with, I kind of think this guy's looking to get sacked, or he's just having a real moan to kind of give the owner a kick up the backside to spend more money. And whatever reason he's doing it for, it just does not look right when he moans.
Yeah, I just think that you never know what you're going to get. Some of Tottenham's performances have been very toothless. It looked like they can't break through anything, and Son and Kane just look like they aren't firing at times. But then you get performances like this where like you said, in one half of football, they can do some real damage. Exactly. They're so up and down. So I'm not. They're just a mixed bag at the moment.
So we've got 18 saying Apollo was right about Spurs. They're getting old. Look, that team is being carried by Song and Kane, and both of them are in the 30s. They're around the 30-year-old marks. By the time when their legs start going, that's it for them. I mean, you name me. Apart from Skip, I really do like Skip. We rate Romero, which is the centre back.
Kulusevski, I can't even say his name, but I think he's a good player.
Kulusevski.
Yeah, he's a great player, I think.
And they got Perisic, who's 33 years old. Lloris, he's on his last legs. I mean, they're an aging team. G says, question for Dave. Are Spurs better than Chelsea man for man? I don't think they are. I think Chelsea man for man. I think if you take out the results, take out everything else, and put a man to a man.
I think they are. I think they are better than us. I think they're better. I think they're better in several areas of the pitch.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't agree with that.
You got two better centre backs. Both your centre backs are better than anything Spurs have got.
Your right back is the best in the Premier League.
Injured.
Yeah, but he's still the best in the Premier League.
Like if we're saying right now at this moment in time, who's got the better team? It's Tottenham because we've got so many injuries.
Forget the injuries then. If everybody was fit, who would you go man for man?
Man for man, probably Chelsea, but it's tight. I don't think our team isn't as great. No, our team isn't as great as what people think it is. And this is where it's a rebuild job.
I'll take any of your midfielders for some of the midfielders that we've got, mate.
I'll tell you what, for nothing, Dave. Outside of Son, Kane, and Kulusevski, none of Spurs gets in the Chelsea 11.
Thank you, Tony.
I think it depends on, first of all, I don't know about that. I mean, it's. I think we're going off reputation from some of these players at Chelsea. And
wow, so Dave, are you saying you can see wholesale changes there at Chelsea now?
I think if you look at a lot of the players that are there, we're coming to an end of an era at Chelsea. I think in terms of a lot of players, you don't know how long. I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about quickly the Villa Wolves game. I'm happy to talk about Chelsea now if you want.
Oh, they've signed Santos now.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm happy. I'll talk about Chelsea now. I just think that we've got to a point where we've got an aging team. We've got players that have been there for a while that frankly haven't done it. They'll probably go somewhere else and smash it. But for Chelsea, it's just not going to work out. You're talking of the Pulisic's, the Havertz's. You're talking maybe the Ziyech, although I'd like to see him get a better run of games.
But they won the Champions League, these players.
Yeah, but it don't mean that they're but that was through masterful coaching and also slight luck as well. Like, you don't get. I don't think that we're at a moment in time. Also, our biggest player, the guy who probably won the Champions League for us, Kante, in that whole spell of the Champions League run, he's injured, and it looks like we're not going to re-sign him. So
yeah, he's always injured, mate. He's always injured.
But let's not get twisted, though. Kante aside, you still got Jorginho, you still got Kovacic. Kovacic just went to the World Cup semi-final, bro.
Yeah, Kovacic is good, but he's not. If you look, if you watch him, if you do the eye test, he looks great. If you do the eye test, he looks great, Kovacic. If you're looking at output, there's no output there. No output in terms of goals, assists, nothing. So
Dave, I did a show last night, and in that show we talked about Arsenal and Mudryk, and in that show I said, when we played Newcastle, Arsenal, I showed that picture last night on the thing on the show podcast, Tony.
Yeah.
I said to those guys, we had nobody to bring on for Saka and Martinelli and Nketiah. And then I went over to Chelsea and named 12 players that they've got. 12. Sterling, Havertz, Mount, Aubameyang, Pulisic, Chidwell, Gallagher, Kovic, Fofana, Zakari, Broja. I can't even remember the Hutchinson. At the moment they've got 12 attacking players.
I mean, I would, and this is where we need to chop quite a few of them. To be honest with you, like, they're not
okay.
There's not. I mean, yeah, there are options, but there's limited output there. I'm going to read through a couple of stats.
Yeah.
For you, just to make you aware of how bad we are at this moment in time.
Because I thought, why are they buying Mudryk and they've already got 12 attacking players? I don't get it.
Right. In the Premier League,
Auba doesn't look that good at the moment, does he?
No. In the Premier League, we have scored 12 goals. That's in the league, that's 14th best. In expected goals, we're 17th. Shots per game, we're 16th. At home now, goals scored at home, we're 18th. Shots, we're dead last in the league. Shots at home. Shots on target, we're dead last. And this is on the Graham Potter, by the way. So, yeah, now you understand. So now I brought those things to light. Now you understand why we're probably going for a player like
There's one stat that you forgot, Dave. One stat that you forgot.
Oh, here we go.
The amount of combinations of teams that Potter has played since he's been there. That's probably you guys are probably first. It's like he tries a different formation every week, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the formation changes are mad. Another one, Thiago Silva is our joint highest assist leader with 2 in the league.
Wow.
Oh,
So let's put all of that information that I've given to you in perspective, and you look at the players that you reeled off, Apollo, when you said Chelsea have got this players. They're not doing it. They're not doing it, and some of them you can persist with. I'd love to persist with Ziyech, but some of them you can't persist with them. They're not. They'll go elsewhere. They'll be great. The Havertz's, for example, he'll probably go to some other team like Madrid or someone else because he's a talented lad and he'll smash it. For Chelsea, he's not it, unfortunately. He won us the Champions League. Great. Well done, mate. Thank you very much. I always appreciate that. But for right now, this moment in time, he's not good enough for Chelsea, nor is Pulisic.
So what about Chukwuemeka? Now he hit the post yesterday, and now we're talking about the City game now. I thought you dominated City in the first half. I didn't think they couldn't get anywhere near you. The way you're playing the ball out, they were in heavy press so many times, and you just played the ball out with ease into the midfield. And once it got past the midfield into the final third, it's like nothing happened.
Toothless.
We got Ulrich here says it's the manager who is the problem.
I think you've seen Graham, and this is my gripe with Graham Potter. I think his appointment as well, reflecting on it, what did he achieve at Brighton? Like, to get a job, which is arguably, would you say the Chelsea job at the time, probably top 10 in the world in terms of a managerial position in football? Top 10, we're saying. That's being generous.
Well, he was doing pretty well at Brighton.
Pretty well. I mean, him and
the squad that he had and what he did with Brighton, he was doing pretty well.
What did he do with Brighton?
What he did with Brighton, he turned them into one of the best defenses in the league, and they were always buzzing around the top 6 for a European play. So he did as much as he could do.
He's done well with the squad. With Brighton, he's done well with what he's got.
Yeah,
and would you say that deserves a top 10 job in the world?
I don't.
Hold on. I could say the same thing about Brendan Rodgers. He was at Swansea when he came to Liverpool.
Yeah, and
the thing is, it wasn't good enough.
The thing is, Neil, Chelsea's attrition rate with managers is probably one of the worst in the league. I mean, the owner's not here anymore, so we can't talk about Abramovich. But what he did was he was sacking managers who were successful. I mean, I'll never forget the Ancelotti thing. When I thought they had a manager for 5 years when they got him. He won them trophies and then he was gone. And I was like, did I just miss something here? I didn't get it.
That's where the Watford owner got his idea for sacking so many managers in 1 year, in one season.
Yeah, but I think it's a bit different. I think you look at Chelsea and it's worked for us. No matter what you can say about the sacking hiring, it's a formula that has historically worked for Chelsea. Is that accurate to say? I think with Potter, I don't see him going. I see him staying. It looks like Bowley set on him, and I can't see us going away from him, even if we are that bad. I just don't think that he really understands what he's got in terms of talent, and I don't think he's ever been put in a position where you have to win every single week. You know, when you go into games, you have to work. You have to win every single week. Every game that you play, when you're Chelsea Football Club, when you're an Arsenal, when you're a Man United, when you're a Liverpool, you have to win. Otherwise, if you don't, you've dropped points. Simple as. Like, it don't matter if you're playing Man City at home. It don't matter if you're playing Bournemouth away. You know, you have to win.
I mean,
I think the way he's acting, I think that he thinks he's in over his head, which is why he's trying so many formations week in, week out. I mean, realistically, when you come into a team, you should know the players that you've got, or get to know the players and know the best players and the best formation. You shouldn't have to keep swapping that formation.
But he's trying his philosophy. Like, every manager has a philosophy. And
Apollo,
what you do when you take over a club,
the man's done over what? He's done over 40 formations since he's been there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is every manager has a philosophy, and when you take over a club, your forte is to imprint that style on your team in order for you to be successful. You don't go away from that. Otherwise,
but which manager has done 40 different formations in half a season?
What I'm saying as well,
and that's the desperation. He's trying to throw everything on the wall to see what sticks. Yeah, go on, Dave.
One thing I will give him is that we do have injury problems. Let me reel off the list of injuries. Kante, Reece James, Wesley Fofana, Edouard Mendy's injured, Mason Mount is injured, small knock, Ben Chilwell, Armando Broja, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Raheem Sterling, Christian Pulisic. They're all the injuries that we've got. Like that's a lot as well, and it's not like a lot of them as are first team players, you know. Reece James and Ben Chilwell, since they've been at Chelsea, have only started 2 Premier League games together.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna look from the year 2012 to 2017. Arsenal had the worst injury record for 5 years. I feel your pain. The worst thing, especially when you've got, you know, players like Van Persie, Walcott, and all them guys, Rosicky, Fabregas, and you find out these guys are out for 3 to 6 months, and you're just like, what is going on? And you know, so I've lived that pain. I really have. But I think with what's different with Chelsea is they've got the money and the resources to build a squad of good players. Like we didn't spend any money. Do you know what I mean? We didn't start spending money until 2018. You know, when all the Ozils and Sanchez's and all them guys started coming in. So it's a really weird one. Sorry, 2016. Sorry, it's a really weird one.
We're going mad, and I think this is why we're going quite mad at the moment with Santos. We bought Fofana, who's a striker. It looks like Mudryk is going to be either a Chelsea or Arsenal player. I wouldn't be surprised if we go quite big for him, and obviously Enzo Fernandez as well. It looks like we're trying to get him as well. Whether talks are broken down, as far as I'm aware, apparently the negotiations have been very bad from Chelsea's side of things, actually with Benfica and the player. So that could be dead in the water there, that deal. But I think we'll try and get an attacking player and try and start shifting a few of these guys on that we've got at the club, because they're clearly not good enough.
Aldrich says you have to have a formation consistency as a manager, which is what I was saying. You got your philosophy. It's like, you know, nobody in sports, whether that's baseball, NFL, basketball, comes in with your own, you know, this thing you believe in so much that you've been successful in your life doing, and then you all of a sudden you come to a club and you go away from it. That's just that spells disaster. Yeah, that's what happened to Santos at Spurs.
It's a panic at the moment because, and this is where he's never been in a position like this before. If Brighton lose 5 games on the trot, people are going, oh well, we know that he can turn it around. We know he's a good manager. Like, look what he's done for us. You lose a few games at Chelsea, 1 or 2 games, even 3 games. That's like, Jesus, we're in crisis mode now. But this is what we've been conditioned to as Chelsea fans, to be like, we should be up there challenging because look at what we're spending, look at the players that we've got. So, yeah. One thing as well, just to kind of, I know we haven't touched on it yet, is obviously rest in peace, Gianluca Vialli, who died today.
I was just about to put his picture up before you said that. I was just about to put Gianluca's picture up before you said that.
I think you're on mute, Tony.
Sorry, I was going to say, if you're ready for the tribute, I've actually got a little 2-minute video segment ready to go.
Yeah, don't. It's okay. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Yeah, okay. Because that demonetizes the stream.
Is it? It's just like the one that I did last week for Pele.
Yeah, so that was, I had 3 companies emailed me at the time saying that's our footage, you can't use it, and I was like, okay. So I passed all of the demonetization to them. So it's one of the, when it comes to music and video, that's how YouTube is.
I think to kind of summarize with Vialli, like, and what he meant for Chelsea fans, he's a guy that come in at a time where, you know, he was one of the big player signings for us. You look at him, you look at the Zolas. He was really at the forefront, and even like to this day, I know, you know, he was so successful for us as a player, as a manager as well. Obviously, you see the accomplishments there, and more importantly, from what I've heard in terms of tributes, like from people like Graham Souness, who I know some people as a pundit maybe hit and miss with, but says what a great man he was. And I think this is the thing, we've lost a great person today, and the Chelsea community is in mourning over a player like him, because a lot of people will rightly say, well, I wouldn't say rightly, but will say you were crap before the money. That to me is, oh, you weren't title contending when like before the money. But we had players and of the quality of Vialli and the quality of the Zolas who could, maybe sneak into a top four and do what this Chelsea team are failing to do now. So yeah, like rest in peace, man. What a player, what a man, and yeah, I mean, Tony, Apollo, and Neil. Obviously, I can imagine you guys watched a fair bit of Vialli.
Oh, definitely.
Even
what are you trying to say?
days.
What are you trying to say? We're not that old.
I'm calling you football purists. This is what I'm doing.
Oh, okay. Since you put it like that, then yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved him. He brought the passion into the Premier League when the Premier League was at its height. He brought the passion along with the West Ham player. What was the Italian West Ham player? The no nonsense one. Oh God, I can't remember his name. It's been so long ago. And they just had the fire in their belly, and they didn't take no nonsense. Like referees were afraid to give him a yellow or to give him a telling off or to give him a foul, because they just would go right back on you. And it's just like these guys took no crap. And as a manager, he was like that as well. A lot of people are saying, Arteta's too animated on the sidelines, and so's Jurgen Klopp and so's Guardiola. But these guys was doing that like 20 years ago. 10, 20 years ago.
For me, there's a
Di
couple
Canio,
of players.
that's the guy, Di Canio.
Yeah, Di Canio. There's a couple of players that
Di Canio.
For me personally, that even though I've always been a Liverpool fan for most of my life, a few players that I've always looked up to, Di Canio's one, Zola's another, Vialli obviously, and Eric Cantona. And me saying Eric Cantona, him being a United player, it's just, those are the four of the players that have actually made me look at football differently and actually enjoy the opposition as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing.
Sorry, go on, Tony.
Oh no, you go ahead. I'm just loading up a couple of pictures.
No,
they're true legends.
Saying,
as it says, they're true legends. Those players.
They are. I was just saying, everybody talking about Vialli in the chat. Big shout out to Jamzo. He says Vialli, a Chelsea legend. I can't believe it. I just seen it. 18 saying, Jamzo, I love your channel. Yeah, I'm recommended. Hey, guys, subscribe to Jamzo's highlights, please. Really good footballing channel with fan reactions on there, including 101. Cam says, I became a fan of his by watching Football Italia on a Sunday morning. Yeah, so yeah, I mean that's how much like we had awareness to Vialli. Wow, man.
I mean that's that picture that I'm showing now is one of the pictures that I will always treasure, because I used to love Sampdoria. And the funny thing is, I think you just mentioned about Sunday football with James Richardson, Scudetto. Yeah, Dave, you probably don't remember this, but Scudetto was such a big thing for the football purist. On a Sunday afternoon, watching Italian football, way before Spanish football became anything. Watching Italian football, watching Maldini, Baresi, George Weah. I mean, we were talking about Pelé, and I had to mention George Weah. My only chance to watch George Weah was football Scudetto, Italiano with James Richardson on a Sunday. The likes of Totti. All these players became great to me watching Italian football on a Sunday with James Richardson, and in that mix was this guy. This guy to me was just formidable. I mean, this picture alone tells you all you need to know. He's got two of the greatest footballers in his team at Juventus. Look at these
Fox,
three
man.
players.
Silver Fox.
The Silver Fox.
There you go.
Baggio. Look at, this guy, you know what I mean? It's phenomenal. He comes to Chelsea, he cleans up. You know?
Yeah.
I think
so.
The thing is, we looked at. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tony. Sorry, mate.
I just can't tell you how good a player this guy was, and you know what? His best time, Chelsea, phenomenal.
Agreed.
As much as like we all hurt from the Euros and you know, losing to Italy, seeing him run on to hug Mancini, you know, it's, you know, they're the kind of they're the moments in football you're like, oh man, I love seeing, you know, someone like that, just a good person enjoying the game that we all love. It's incredible just seeing him there, and it's devastating news, man, honestly.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, so Tony, really, that's it for me. I was going to do next week's previews, but I think we can just cover that as it is. It's you know, it's been a nice stream. We've got to see some new faces as well. There's a lot of good, exciting stuff, but it's FA Cup, which is why I thought, you know what, maybe I'll give next week's stuff a little bit of a rest, and then we'll talk about it on Friday. We'll probably preview it on Friday. So that's it.
Wolves.
Look at the iconic pictures. The two of them as players together at Sampdoria, and then the two of them winning the Euros for Italy. Amazing.
Playing, oh my God. It's just unbelievable.
And only last year, was it? I mean, winning that, it's so sad, isn't it, when you see and you hear that and you see him looking in good health with Mancini there at the bottom picture, and then he gets taken from us as well.
That's nuts, man. I mean, 58 is such a young age. Cam saying, exactly. I was shocked to hear about Gianluca, one of the greats. He'll be sorely missed. There ought to be a stand named after him at Stamford Bridge. I'm sure the fans will honour him on the weekend.
Oh yeah, you have to. Like at one point, like it just looked like we were going, you know, Italian football throughout Chelsea at one point when you had him, Di Matteo, Zola as well coming. It's crazy, but yeah.
All right, guys. So, guys, any games before we go? You're looking forward to any games in the Premier League, not the FA Cup? You're looking forward to any games next week? There's Villa Leeds, United City. That's the game I'm looking forward to. Everton, Southampton, Wolves, West Ham, Brighton, Liverpool. That's going to be a tough game.
I'm not looking forward to that
one. Brentford, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Palace, Newcastle, Fulham. That's going to be a good game. And Tottenham, Arsenal.
I think we've got Fulham away as well on like a midweek game before that Palace game. But it's all these London derbies are never nice, are they?
They're not. But what I like about it is over the next 2 weeks, the table is going to change dramatically in terms of the where it is at the top 4, top 6.
It may not. It may stay it may stay exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't wait for all of that, man. So guys,
it's a busy week because you got the
FA Cup,
the EFL Cup. You got the quarterfinals are this week as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that you've got Man City and Man United playing Tuesday and Wednesday respectively, and then they face each other on the weekend. So, you know, it's one of them where you kind of wish like they could bat the hell out of each other and lose at the weekend.
True. Guys, closing comments, Tony.
Great, just good to be back. Nice to see the new faces, as was mentioned. Hopefully, there'll be regular contributors to the channel, and we look forward to. As I said, next weekend we've got some serious ball to look at. I mean, this is one of them wind down weeks where you got the you know, we've had midweek fixtures, but then we go into FA Cup action. But next week it all cranks back up again, and you know how exciting is that? Man United Man City, Arsenal, Tottenham, Fulham, Chelsea, all in the same weekend. You know, it's just like, wow.
Madness. Neil, looking forward to next week?
Yeah, looking forward to next week. Obviously through Christmas and obviously with the World Cup, we were lacking Premier League football, but we're now back. It's now back in full effect. So I'm looking forward to the games coming up. I'd like to also say rest in peace Vialli, rest in peace Pele, and I'm hoping we don't lose any more greats this year.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because you know, I tell you, man, the Pele
and don't forget, we're right smack in the middle of the transfer window. That's another thing.
That's gonna be quiet though. That's gonna be quiet. It's
quiet,
it's
bro.
Not quiet. Chelsea.
No. It'll be quiet.
Chelsea bought 4 players already.
But Chelsea have money, right? So it will be quiet until the last 4 or 5 days, and then everyone's gonna go mad.
Hey, and Neil, you know what? I got back.
You just bought another 2 players, Neil. What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I don't know.
Hey, Neil, I got back late last night. I went to see a friend and had dinner at their place. Started the stream at 10:45 with Neomis, who's one of our panelists in Canada. I was on till midnight with 1,000 people watching the stream. It was crazy, mate.
Oh, that's madness.
Yeah, it's on the channel now. You can watch it. It was insane. So it's just one of those things. So we're busy, man. We're not letting up. Like everybody wants to know what the hell's going on. Dave, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Love your feedback. Respect your views, and hope to see you come back soon as well, mate.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, hopefully I can be on more often than not. And
don't forget, Dave. Always welcome to come and join me for a pint down the Harrow, mate.
Oh yeah.
We miss you down the
getting a bit. Mate, Harrow's got a bit upper class now, isn't it? You know.
Listen. I didn't know about this. Guys, where's my invite, man? Where's my invite? What's going on? I didn't know about this.
It's a Southwest London thing, bro.
Excellent, guys. All right, listen, that's it from us, guys. You have a great week. Enjoy the FA Cup. And then we'll be right back with you with our next game. So listen, man, some big fixtures coming up, guys. And us at 101, we're going to be here with you right the way through. So have a great weekend, everybody. And again, Happy New Year to everyone.
All right, gents, have a good one. See you later.
Peace, guys.